Good afternoon. I'm Max Brantley here on June 24th to talk about the news in Arkansas today that you'll find on the Arkansas Times website. The big news still continues to be whether we're going to have a legislative session next week or not. We went home yesterday assuming everything was cut and dried, that there was a worked out deal on the two big bills on school employee insurance and prison funding. But a wrinkle developed today. Governor Beebe's office said it's not ready to issue the call because the legislation in final draft form does in fact affect the school funding formula. It seems to take away money from schools, which could put the whole funding formula in peril in the eyes of the Arkansas Supreme Court. So they're still trying to work something out. As I've said before, I don't see how you can take money from school districts to put into the pot for health insurance without taking money from other programs. The legislature is trying to do this on the cheap. It's putting in no additional state money. Until that day, I don't think they're going to have a realistic fix for that program. If they do meet, they're going to meet in the old State House, now a museum, which hasn't been used for a real legislative session since 1909, a year in which the legislature outlawed lynching. And then later we saw lynching indeed proceed in Arkansas. So as I've said today on the blog, don't be sure every time you hear a legislator declare a historic passage of legislation that it necessarily means it's going to take effect. Elsewhere in Arkansas today, the ACLU has filed a motion in court to lift the stay that was in place on the ruling that struck down the state's voter ID law. They filed evidence that the voter ID law in the state primary disenfranchised more than 1,000 voters. They think thousands more could be affected in the general election. They want the law struck down and for the order to take effect. That was filed in Judge Tim Fox's court today. News on the same-sex marriage front: the Human Rights Campaign has asked the U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder to guarantee that federal benefits will go in Arkansas to the nearly 500 couples who were married during the week or so that Judge Chris Piazza's ruling on marriage equality took effect. That would be sizable benefits to them and would continue, I think, to build momentum for finally equality coming to all people in Arkansas. Other news today, the pagan church that we've written about before, kind of interesting, running into trouble in Beebe, which is an intensely Christian community. They were denied the ability to set up a church in a residential neighborhood yesterday. They say it's about their unpopular religion. The city says it's just a zoning matter. Elsewhere, kind of serious news, but good news for Little Rock. The Federal Reserve Bank says the economic situation in Little Rock is looking up. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm Max Brantley.